What's up, y'all? Welcome to the School of Divine Magic. I would like to talk about Vampiric Awakening. You know what I'm saying? And this is my awakening, right? See, I didn't know that you could be a psychic vampire, right? Because I'm an empath. I'm an HSP, a highly sensitive person to people, places, and things, energies, right? So a lot of empaths, and I did not know this till I went down a rabbit hole about, you know what I'm saying, the vampire stuff or whatever. A lot of empaths are psychic vampires, right? So I had to realize that I come from a traditional psychic, because I have a parent that's a traditional psychic vampire. They're not aware that they're a psychic vampire, but they're a psychic vampire, which made me, their offspring, a psychic vampire. But I'm more so an ethical psychic vampire because I'm aware that I am a psychic vampire and I'm aware of my energy, my emotions, and what I'm doing, right? But this is the kicker. I'm a cross between the living vampire because I also have a lot of esoteric knowledge like a living vampire. So you got to go down you got to go down a rabbit hole about the vampires and understand which one you are, if you are a vampire. Then I just had noticed I got like a little fang on the left side. You feel what I'm saying? I always had a little fang. And I always had encounters with vampires. I always saw vampires when I was little. Like, one time I was little and I was on public transportation, I saw a vampire. You know what I'm saying? And I was like scared because it was like doing the little nails, you know, on the window. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't tell my parent, like, oh, you know, this person, because they gonna think you crazy. They were like, girl, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Because you little. But I kept like looking at this person and they was looking at me and I'm like, this is a spirit, but this a vampire spirit. It ain't no regular person. And I knew that was a vampire. Then I also, not too long ago, I saw some vampires. Like, we was driving through the Jack in the Box, right? Some told me, I say, go the other way. I say, don't go by them. They wasn't human beings. Them was vampires. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm a part of the vampire community because I'm a living vampire and a psychic vampire. But them vampires, bro, like they was on some demon time for real. You know what I'm saying? So I had actually saw a group of vampires. Because you got to realize, it's some people that's vampires that they real like vampires. That's another thing. So though, you got to watch out because it's some real life vampires out here, like real, like what we see in Twilight, Vamp, you know what I'm saying, Dusk to Dawn. I believe that it's some real, genuinely real ones. But it's also, you know, a vampire community where you get into, you know, the occult and you start understanding like, okay, I'm a psychic vampire. Then you got, you know, you got role play vampires because they just want to, you know, dress up and be a vampire and role play stuff. You got a whole lot of different categories of vampire out here. But do I feel like there's some real life, you know what I'm saying, Saint Germain and the Violet Flame? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's some real like Akasha out here, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Some Queen of the Damned out here. It's some real ones, you know what I'm saying? You just gotta know what's what, you know what I'm saying? But it's some people that they, you know, they'll have the, you know, the teeth and stuff like that, but they, you know, is a part of those categories of just into the vampire community and culture and, you know, the occult and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But now that I'm getting into it, I learned that, you know, it's very much a way of life, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't like awake to it until like I got older. Now I'm awake to it because I'm like, oh, because, you know, if you an empath, if you also have intuition, like a height into it, like I have a height intuition and stuff like that because of my sensitivity. And like my family will tell you, like sometimes I can predict things, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's hit or miss because Lillian Cosby, the psychic, I think she said that one time, you know, that your predictions can be, you know, spot on and sometimes they can be off. Like you a good psychic if you predict stuff like 75% of the time because, you know, you're not always spot on 100%. That's what people don't know. Like with psychic abilities, you a good psychic if you could predict things spot on at least 75, 85%, you a good psychic. You ain't got to always have, you know what I'm saying, hit it on the mark all the time. You know what I'm saying, when you a psychic. You know what I'm saying? Because you still psychic, because out of a lot of things that you predict, you know, you spot on. You know what I'm saying? And that happened to me. Like, most of the time, I'm spot on. So it could be hit or miss, but most of the time, I'm spot on. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what had awakened me to that. And I had to understand it, because I always was into, you know, vampires. Like, once I started, you know, like in the horror films and stuff like that, you know, it was always the vampire movies that moved me, or the movies that had like spiritual stuff in there. It was always those movies that moved me, and I'd be like, dang. Like Grace Jones and Vamp. That's one of like my favorite vampire movies is Vamp. You know what I'm saying? That's old school. So, and I like Dusk to Dawn and Vamp. You know what I'm saying? So if you go back and look at that movie, you'll be like, oh, that's good. You know what I'm saying? Also, it's a movie that I always like too. Jim Carrey, that was a vampire movie. Once Bitten. Go back and watch that. I liked that one too. That Once Bitten, that was a good one. So all the vampire movies pretty much good, a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? But that's what had, you know what I'm saying, got me to understand that, oh, okay, I'm in both of these categories in some degree. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to vampirism. You know what I'm saying? So I started trying to talk more about vampirism once I get deeper and deeper into it. You know what I'm saying? Because people, you know, probably, you know, never really just, you know, dived into it. Now, I mean, a lot of people are diving into it now, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, this is Age of Aquarius, so now a lot of information is becoming available via the internet. You know, we're seeing a lot of things, but it was just me, you know, having my awakening and understanding that, oh, okay, you know, I come from traditional psychic vampire, and now that I am the ethical, you know, psychic vampire, you know, it made me have a lot of understanding about myself, and then understanding my attraction to not only, you know, vampires, but the occult and stuff like that. And this is another thing too to throw for a loop. I'm a mixture of a lot of things, because see, when you're in the occult, you can be a werewolf. Like, I'm a lycanthrope, and that I know it don't make sense, because it's like, how you a vampire and a lycanthrope, a werewolf. You know what I'm saying? But I am that. I'm like all of these. But see, you could be good at more than one magic, because I'm a dragon too. A gargoyle and a dragon. So I had to learn that too. So all of these energies are up inside of me. And like, if you put me in an umbrella, you just say I'm an eclectic, because it's called an eclectic witch, when you can do all the different dabble in all the different magic. So I'm more so eclectic. Some people want to say, oh, well, you a chaot. But I'm more so eclectic, because you know, I'm good with all forms, and I can also shapeshift, because I'm also, you know what I'm saying, a werewolf. And we gonna get in there too, because I'm a dragon, a vampire, and a werewolf. And that probably sound crazy to a lot of people, but it's like, when you get into the occult and magic, you'll start understanding, oh, these are different forms of magic, and people can excel at these different forms and be these different things, these different classes, you know, in these magical systems. So manifest your best. Like I always say, manifest your best as we remain infinite in the finite. Ashe. And I hope this resonates. I was just talking a little bit about, you know, being into, you know, the occult and vampirism and awakening. All right, I'm out.